Hello and welcome to Life Sciences Knowledge Hub. I'm David, and now I'm joined by Matthew Durdy of the Cell and Gene Therapy Catapult. Hello, Matthew. Thank you for joining us today. Tell us a bit about the Cell and Gene Therapy Catapult, what it is, how it was set up, what its aims are.
Well, thank you for speaking to me today. The Cell and Gene Therapy Catapult is part of a UK national programme of technology and innovation centres, which have the aim of leveraging the fantastic research base in the UK in order to develop new industries and growing industries. In our case, our mandate is to help grow the global cell and gene therapy industry with the aim that results in economic gain through jobs and better healthcare in the UK. We have we're now about 400 people, or heading very close to 400 people, and we work by combining those people with some unique assets that we have and the best minds in research and industry to apply that joint capability through collaboration to break down the barriers to the growth of the industry through new technologies, new practices, new ways of doing things. And we've had some great successes in that. At a local scale, we've helped companies bring their new technologies out into emerging companies. At a more cluster-based scale, we have a manufacturing centre in Stevenage, which has attracted 10 companies into the UK and around the UK, or to stay in the UK, and attracted probably about £1.2 billion worth of other investment into the Stevenage area, creating thousands of jobs. And at a technological level, we have a viral vector platform, for instance, where we've worked with the research industry to develop a new way of manufacturing viral vectors viral vectors at scale, which is now being rolled out amongst the research community in order to speed the development of new therapeutics. And then just one last example of our sort of comprehensive approach to growing the industry, if you like. We realized very quickly that it would be necessary to feed the growth of this industry with people. So we have a number of skills programs ranging from an apprenticeship program to a conversion program where we help skilled people from declining industries come into the cell and gene therapy industry in order to feed its growth.
It's a sizable operation with admirable aims there, and as you say, a number of successes so far. Let's talk about the size of the opportunity, perhaps. The number of cell and gene therapies under development, that's increased dramatically over the last decade or so. Do you think these types of therapies will come to dominate the medical sector and eventually replace its traditional reliance on small molecule therapeutics?
It's an interesting question. As you say, there are thousands of products there are about 1,200 products in clinical trial or development at the moment, spread about amongst about 1,000 companies, which is quite an impressive range. Where the industry dominates at the moment is in the investment. It is the excitement and the attraction of investment in the biotech sector. I don't think it's fair to say that it dominates healthcare yet, and I don't think that's its aim. I think the aim of the industry is to change the approach to enable actually the healthcare system to change its approach to the treatment of chronic illness in particular, but also acute illness, by looking to have curative intent. I think the fundamental change that cell and gene therapy brings is we're not trying to treat symptoms anymore. We're trying to change the course of the disease. And that's a very high aim. And the industry has started in areas of extreme clinical need and has demonstrated extreme efficacy. But there is no reason why it shouldn't continue to expand as it is doing now into a wider range of therapeutic indications.
Very exciting. What would you say? Let's look at the other end of the scale there. How would you express the limitations? Do you think that these therapies could potentially be developed to treat diseases across many therapeutic areas, or are opportunities restricted in some way to a smaller range of disease types?
There is definitely a long way to run within the industry. There's a lot of development yet to do. I think that the limitation is actually our scientific knowledge at the moment. If you look over the last 10 years of development, the real breakthrough in development was the iPSC phase, where people realized that they could manipulate cells. That was quickly followed by CAR Ts around 2012, where we realized that we could cure cancers, certain forms of cancers. If you take the CAR T products, they have actually evolved from relatively simple, although at the time it was mind-blowingly complex, relatively simple manipulations of cells, where you were really targeting one manipulation, now through to fifth generation, where you're making multiple manipulations at the same time, and you are able to target a broader range of diseases. If you then apply that concept of increased sophistication, increased complexity, increased targeting, and combine it with our ever-evolving knowledge of genetics and disease, it will be a continuous evolution through to anywhere where you think there is the opportunity to fundamentally change the course of the disease. So I think there's a long way to run, and the industry will keep up with the development of the science.
So what do you see the role of the Catapult being going forward? I mean, clearly it's there to try and launch, to promote, to try and create and highlight the opportunities and to kickstart to kickstart these therapies. But given the direction of travel, given the momentum that you speak of, do you think that the Catapult will need to exist in the future? Will industry momentum kind of take its own course?
I can't see a scenario, certainly within my lifetime, where there won't be new problems, new dimensions, and new opportunities for competitive advantage for the UK industry. And so I think wherever problems arise and there is an opportunity for the UK to gain an advantage, there will be a role for the cell and gene therapy Catapult. And just to give you some sense of the evolution of barriers within the industry, if you go back 10 years, people were talking about the ability of the regulators to work with the complexity and the variability of cell and gene therapies. They were talking about the ability of regulatory authorities to assess the value that cell and gene therapies delivered. Those sorts of questions are no longer on the agenda. The method is what is being discussed, as opposed to whether or not it was actually going to be possible, or whether those regulators would engage, for that matter. And the early technological problems are similar in that they have been conquered, but new technological problems. So in the early stage, it was a question of, can we manufacture these products safely, consistently, and measurably? Whereas now people are asking questions: can we measure them? Can we manufacture them in huge volumes? Rather than talking about can we manufacture in batches of 10, we're now talking about how do we produce tens of thousands of these products each year in order to meet the market need. And in terms of future developments, manufacturing, for instance, is still remote from the patient. There's a whole new dimension that will come through in the future relating to near patient manufacturing. And these therapeutics will become, as mentioned earlier, in terms of the evolution of the science, they will become increasingly targeted and increasingly sophisticated, as well as becoming increasingly generic in a different direction. Each one of those brings new challenges for the industry, and we've already seen that the industry moves more quickly when it works together. And one of the roles of the Catapult is to bring the industry together and along with the researchers to solve those problems. I think we have a role for many, many years to come.
Well, listen, Matthew, thank you very much indeed for telling us about the great work that you do there at the Catapult, for talking about some of the challenges and about what the future looks like. Feasibility no longer a challenge, new challenges on the horizon. How do you scale this stuff, and how do you address those known unknowns that are just around the corner? Matthew, thank you very much indeed for your time. I wish you every success.